Okay, imagine this. It's 2015. You've just moved your family to Karachi. You're looking for that fresh start, and you find it, this perfect apartment. It's new, it's spacious, it's right near the Millennium Mall, and somehow it's surprisingly affordable.
You think you've hit the jackpot.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But what if that affordability wasn't luck? What if it was, a hidden price tag? What if the peace and quiet you were promised was just a mask for something? Well, something ancient and really, really disturbing.
And that's the core of it, isn't it? This isn't just another ghost story. We're looking at a case study here, a detailed account of how a family's health can just plummet because of unseen influences. And maybe more importantly, why that kind of crucial information gets hidden.
That's our mission today. We are diving into the source material that tracks this family's descent into fear, into actual illness, all inside this one apartment. We're pulling out the key events, the scary evidence, and the landlord's final confession about the building's history. We really want to understand the connection between what happened in that space before and what this family was forced to suffer through. Okay, let's unpack this. So the family. You've got a brother, his wife, their 2 kids, and their mother. They move in back in 2015, all of them just excited for this new chapter. And the apartment itself, it was perfect.
And for the first few weeks, everything was completely normal. The source material is very clear on that. It establishes this baseline of normalcy.
Which is so important for what comes next.
It is, because the first sign that something was wrong came from the children. And kids, they're often like canaries in a coal mine in these situations. They stopped playing, they got quiet.
What were they saying?
They started describing this feeling of being followed, or specifically hearing unseen footsteps chasing them down the hall, especially late at night near the kitchen.
And of course the adults dismiss it. It's just kids, big imagination, new house, all of that.
The usual rationalizations. But that didn't last long. Soon enough, things started happening that the adults couldn't just brush off.
The first big one was, around 2 in the morning?
Yeah, around 2 a.m. It wasn't a bump in the night, it was a clear human voice. It called out from behind a closed bedroom door, and the tone was urgent, like it needed help right now.
So they rush over, they throw the door open, and
Nothing.
just empty space. But the source material describes the feeling after, that the silence that fell wasn't peaceful, it was heavy, oppressive, like whatever had called out was still there, just watching.
Which is almost worse than seeing something.
Oh, much worse. And it didn't stop. Just about an hour and a half later, around 3:30 a.m., a phone alarm starts blaring through the apartment.
And they assume it's the mother, right?
Right. But she was sound asleep, and she swears she didn't say anything. So now you have a disembodied voice and this phantom piece of modern technology going off. It's escalating. The fear is real now.
And that fear starts to narrow their focus. The activity, which was kind of all over the place, it begins to center on one specific spot.
The storage room.
Exactly. The apartment had this big living room with a small extra guest bathroom they weren't using. So logically, they turned it into a storage closet, sealed it off.
And that sealed off room becomes the epicenter.
It did.
And this is where it gets really disturbing. The sounds coming from that room, they weren't just footsteps anymore, they were human.
It started softly, like a woman crying quietly to herself.
But then it got louder. It escalated into these desperate screams, like someone was trapped in there, screaming for help, screaming for their life.
And sometimes the screaming would be joined by another sound, the sound of a child just sobbing.
Unmistakable.
Yeah. So when you hear that, a woman screaming and a child crying, your first thought isn't paranormal. It's that someone is in real danger.
So they did the right thing. They called building security. They thought maybe it was the apartment below them, that someone was trapped, or there was a domestic issue.
A perfectly logical conclusion.
But the security guards, they go down, they check, and they come back with this just chilling piece of information. The apartment below them was completely empty.
Not just that one, the whole building was still mostly empty. It was brand new. There was no one there to be making those sounds.
Just stop and think about that. Imagine hearing a desperate scream in your own home, and then being told by security that no one is even living beneath you. What do you do next?
Well, the source material shows us exactly what happens. This is the moment the problem shifts from being, a psychological mystery to a physical crisis.
Exactly. The second they ran out of logical explanations, the family's health just fell off a cliff.
And this is such a critical point. The sickness wasn't like a cold that one person got. It was systemic. It spread through the whole family.
The kids were hit the worst. They developed these intense fevers that would just spike out of nowhere and then disappear. Doctors had no explanation. Medicine didn't touch it.
And the adults.
Constantly drained, anxious, this deep feeling of unease, of malaise. It wasn't like a normal sickness. It felt, as they described it, like the energy was being deliberately pulled out of them.
That pattern, the fevers in the children, the depletion in the adults, it points to something.
Yeah.
Something environmental that's actively hostile to them.
The doctors couldn't help. They started talking to neighbors.
And they suggested bringing in spiritual help. Religious scholars, healers.
And every single one who came to visit, they all said the same thing. They walked in and immediately said the house did not feel right. They confirmed that the atmosphere was, well, negative, tainted.
So now they have a professional spiritual diagnosis, essentially.
Right. And that was it. They knew they had to get out. But it's while they're packing, clearing everything out, that they find the final piece of physical proof.
The file.
The medical file. Tucked deep in the back of a built-in closet, they find this old folded-up file. It doesn't belong to any of them. It's for a total stranger.
And it details a severe, debilitating illness.
Yes. So now they have it. Tangible proof connecting this apartment to a history of sickness. This wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was documented.
And that was the leverage they needed to confront the landlord.
Exactly. They went to him with everything. The sounds, the sickness, what the healers said, and now this medical file.
And he finally cracked.
He did. He confessed the truth about that storage room, the one that used to be a small bathroom.
What did he say?
He said the previous tenants had used that specific space as a private place of worship. But it wasn't. It wasn't a standard religion. He said they kept statues and idols in there, including one that was directly associated with, and these were his words, dark rituals.
Wow, so that connects everything. The spiritual unease, the focused activity, the sickness.
Everything. And the landlord admitted the people before them, the ones who performed these rituals, had also fallen incredibly ill. Just like this family. They got so sick, they were forced to just abandon the apartment.
It was a pattern, a predictable cycle.
A cycle. The building management confirmed the whole story. They admitted the previous residents arrived healthy and happy, but left broken and sick.
So why hide it?
Money. They were afraid they'd never be able to rent the apartment again if people knew its history, knew that it made people sick.
And that just raises this huge ethical question, doesn't it? It goes way beyond a haunting. How often is the dangerous history of a property, illness, trauma, whatever, just deliberately covered up for a rent check?
It's terrifying, that calculation. Valuing a lease over someone's health.
Absolutely.
So when you look at the whole arc of this deep dive, I mean, it's this chilling journey. It starts with something you can easily dismiss, like a child's imagination, and it ends with undeniable proof. The phantom voice, the fevers, that stranger's medical file, and then the landlord finally admitting this history of rituals and sickness.
The family got out of there, obviously. They moved out almost immediately after the confession. But the memory of it all, the cries from that room, the shadows, the sickness, the sources say it still lingers like a presence that never truly left.
Yeah.
It really underscores this idea that the history of a place, the energy, the intention that was poured into it, can define its present. It almost doesn't matter how new the walls are.
It makes you question who really owns what. Did they own that apartment, or did its history own them?
That's a great way to put it.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to think about. For me, the most disturbing part isn't even the unseen presence. It's the very seen, very human decision by a building management to hide a history of severe illness and dark rituals just to keep the rent money coming in.
The calculated deception.
The calculated deception. So, for you, what's the most terrifying part of this story? The unseen force that makes people sick, or the people you trust who lie to your face to put you in harm's way? We'd love to hear what you think. Let us know what stood out to you in this deep dive. Our question for you is, have you ever felt a house was hiding its history? Let us know in the comments or wherever you listen. And if you want more shortcuts to being well-informed, make sure you like and subscribe.